Hi everyone, I am Father Johnson of New Catholic Mission School, Jhabua. Today we are going to learn another lesson from English core of class 12th from the book Flamingo. The name of the lesson is Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood by Anis Jung. Now, before we go to the lesson, let us try to justify and understand the heading of the lesson, that is the lost spring. Spring, among all the seasons, is a season in which life is at its peak. Growth is on a very faster note. So, why the author has chosen this topic, lost spring, is because spring is compared to the childhood in our life, in human life. Childhood is the time during which we learn a lot of things, we grow, and the growth is at a higher rate. And we also learn a lot of things during our childhood. And that remains to a large extent till the end of our life. So, whatever we learn during our childhood, that remains with us, and that makes a person's personality. So now the author has said stories of stolen childhood, meaning childhood during which a child is supposed to learn something. On the contrary, here the author is trying to highlight two different types of incidents in which the children have been deprived of their basic right to learn. And that's what we are going to learn. That's why the author has used the heading Lost Spring. Now, before we go to the lesson, let us try to learn something about the author, Anis Jung. She was born in 1944 in Rourkela, hails from an aristocratic family in Hyderabad. Her father, Nawab Hosh Yar Jung, was a renowned scholar and a poet and served as the advisor to the last Nizam of Hyderabad state. Her mother and brother are also Urdu poets. After schooling and college at Osmania University in Hyderabad, she went to the United States for higher studies at University of Michigan Ann Arbor, where she did her master's degree in sociology and American studies. Okay, now the theme of the lesson, as I said earlier, the theme of the lesson is about child labor and its consequences, the callous attitude of the society towards this social evil. As we know, child labor is a big crime. It is crime against human rights. A child has the right to learn, right to grow up like anybody else with equal opportunities. But when the child has been deprived of the basic right to learn and grow up with equal opportunities, then it becomes a crime, and that is what the author has tried to discuss here. What are the consequences when the child is deprived of the basic rights? And what is the attitude of the society towards this sort of tendencies, this sort of social evil? Now, the callous attitude, insensitive attitude of the society towards such children who grow up with no equal opportunities. And that is the whole theme of this lesson. Now, as I said, the whole lesson has been divided into two parts. In part 1, the author is trying to describe and discuss about a person who spends all his life during his childhood collecting garbage. So let us see what it is. Now, the main hero of this first part of the lesson is Sahib. His name is Sahib-e-Alam. The name of the meaning is Lord of the Universe. There is a great contradiction to his name as well as what he has become. Now, this boy by name Sahib, he scrounges for gold in the garbage. What do you mean scrounging? Every day he takes his bag and he goes about looking for something in the garbage. Garbage is something useless, waste, and out of this waste he is trying to look for gold. Here she has used this word gold because for these people even the garbage becomes a means of earning. By collecting garbage, they sell and they try to earn their livelihood. So she says, he starts scrounging for gold, looking for gold, collecting gold from the garbage. And this boy originally is from Dhaka, situated around the green fields, and he left his hometown in Dhaka and he shifted to Simapuri in Delhi, where the full area is full of slums. People go about collecting garbages. He has nothing else in his life except looking for gold from the garbage. He has all his life he has done is only to collect garbages, waste materials from the dumping areas, and he has collected all his life garbages. So as the author, when she met this boy, she was almost tempted to ask him to go to school. She tells, why don't you go to school? And later she realizes that asking that boy who is struggling hard to earn his livelihood, asking him to go to school is a hollow advice. It makes no sense. First we need to fulfill our bodily needs. We need enough to eat, enough to nurture ourselves. We need a decent house to stay. Then only we think of studies. And that's why she says, asking him to go to school is a hollow advice, useless, waste advice. And he says in reply, when she told him, why don't you go to school? She said, there is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I will go. In a very dramatic way he is replying. Not that he was very serious about going to school, but to her question he said, there isn't any school in our vicinity, in our area, and that's the reason I don't go to school. But when they build a school, surely I will go, he says. And she asked in reply, if I start a school, will you go? If I start a school on my own, will you come to my school? And he says, surely I will come. Later, after a few days, he happens to meet her. He is the boy. Sahib asks her, is your school ready? And she says, my dear boy, it takes a long time to build a school. And he says, the promise that she made to this boy, that I will build a school and you can attend the school from my school, it becomes a meaningless promise in his bleak world. This boy, who is day in and day out trying hard to find something to eat, for him, this promise of building a school is a meaningless promise in his bleak world. Why the author has used this word bleak? Bleak means nothing very sure about, uncertain. In this world where full of uncertainty, this advice becomes meaningless. Now she asks him, what is your name, by the way? And he says, Sahib-e-Allah. It means Lord of the universe. He is the Lord of the universe. And it will be very hard for him to understand the meaning. Really it will be hard, because the meaning of his name is that he is the Lord of the universe. But on the contrary, his life is totally in a situation where he is struggling hard to even earn his livelihood. Then she sees him, he is with the barefoot. She asks him, why aren't you wearing chappals? You are going about collecting garbages with barefoot. Why don't you wear chappals? And in reply he says, my mother did not bring them down from the shelf. Meaning, as if he has got in reality he doesn't have a chappal, but he replies in a very humorous way that my mother has taken my chappals and she has kept on the shelf, and that's the reason I don't wear. Even if she did, he will throw them off, adds another, whose shoes don't match. There is another boy, he tells in reply, even if his mother brings the chappals from the shelf down, he will not wear, he will throw them out, he will throw them down. And that boy who replied, he was also in shoes which don't match, which means he must have collected some shoes from here and there, and those shoes on his foot do not match. I want shoes, says the third, who never wore. This boy Sahib is in the company of few boys, and the third boy says, I don't have shoes. Will you give me a pair of shoes? He asks. And all his life he never wore shoes. Not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot, an excuse to explain the perpetual state of poverty. So it is not you see, the author is trying to say, all these three boys, one says, my shoes are on the shelf. The second says, my shoes, he will even throw them out. Third one says he wants shoes. And these are all just not because they lack money, they don't wear shoes, but because their tradition. The tradition is that they have to go around barefoot. It is an excuse. It is an excuse to explain their perpetual state of poverty. These children who live their life in a perpetual state of poverty, all their life they have been poor. They have lived their life with the minimum things. So in order to explain their perpetual state of poverty, the author has tried to say it is not because they don't have money, it is because their tradition. Very surprising. The life standard of the son of a temple priest has changed, but not that of the rag pickers. So she narrates a story. A temple priest whose son was praying for a pair of shoes, and after that, after a few years, this person meets that boy and he is the shoes. But this boy, Sahib and his friends, all their life they have remained barefoot. They have not even managed to buy a pair of shoes. So the society is so hard that the boys of this kind who are living in slums, all their life they have become victims of poverty. Simapuri, a place of the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away metaphorically. So this boy, Sahib, in the company of some of his boys and other men, women of the society, they live in a place called Simapuri, which is just the outskirt of Delhi. No, it is just periphery of Delhi, means just outskirt of Delhi, but yet miles away metaphorically, meaning in a place like Delhi, it's a metropolitan city with all the posh things available, all the development, but this place called Simapuri, just outskirt of Delhi, is altogether, the picture is altogether different. It's full of filth, dirt and garbage, and that's the reason he says, the author says, this place called Simapuri, where these children live collecting garbages, this place is altogether different from that of Delhi. These people who live in Simapuri are people from Bangladesh who came in search of better fortune because they have lost their houses in amidst the green fields of Dhaka due to the storms, and they shifted to Simapuri 30 years back, and they came not for looking for government jobs, they came for better fortune and identity. Why? They don't have enough opportunity, enough things for their livelihood, and they thought this garbage will offer them better fortune, and they thought this will give them an identity. So they came in search of better fortune and identity. For them, food is more important than identity. Identity, what are we going to do with identity? For us, if we can get something to eat, that's enough. We don't need identity. Children grow up such transit homes, becoming partners in survival. See there, the author has used very meticulously these words. Children grow up in such transit homes. What do you mean transit homes? Transit homes means homes just with thatched houses. They grow up in such transit homes, becoming partners in survival, meaning they are just there for their survival, nothing else. They do not have anything greater, no other bigger dream in their life. They want to just survive. They want to just earn their livelihood and be alive. Not even live, they just want to be alive. Garbage for them is gold. It's means of daily bread. It's means of survival. For us, garbages, we throw them out. But for these children like Sahib from Simapuri, for them garbage is gold. They are scrounging gold from their garbage. For them it's daily bread. That garbage offers them daily bread, and it's a means of survival. When you find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is a hope of finding more. See, very nicely she has used. When you find a silver coin from the garbage, now for example, in case you happen to find a coin from the garbage, you don't stop scrounging. You keep looking more and more, because that silver coin offers you more hope for you to scrounge gold. Garbage, for children it's a gift wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it's a means of survival. Now for example, these children who go out collecting garbages, For them, this garbage is it's a kind of gift. When we give a gift to a person, maybe on the person's birthday, we nicely wrap the gift and give. And for them, for these children, though garbage is one reality, but then it has got two different meaning for children as well as for elders. For children, this garbage is a gift wrapped, but for elders, those people who are responsible for running the family, who earn their livelihood, who earn their bread and butter, for them it's a matter of survival. Now, Sahib started working in a tea stall with a steel canister in his hands. Now, after a few months, this lady, the author, happens to meet this boy, Sahib. Earlier, this boy was happily going about collecting garbages. He was scrounging for gold. But now, he started working in a tea stall. Tea stall, a small tea stall. In his hands, with a steel canister in his hands. He was probably going around selling tea to the passerbyers on the road. Now he is earning 800 rupees and all his meals. Earlier, he would even go to bed empty stomach. Now, and he was hardly earning anything. But then, now it looks as if his life situation has changed. He is earning 800 rupees per month and all his meals are free. So he never goes to sleep with empty stomach. But he lost the carefree look on his face. See, earlier, though he did not get enough to eat, he did not have enough money to buy things for himself, even a pair of shoes, he was very carefree, he was so happy-go-lucky, so much of joy on his face. But now, this boy Sahib has lost all the carefree look on his face. The canister in his hand seemed heavier than the plastic bag on his shoulder. Earlier, he would collect all these garbages and dump in a bag and he would go about on his shoulder. In reality, the canister is less heavier and the plastic bag with all the garbage is much heavier compared to the canister. But the author has very sarcastically used this word. The canister now seems to be heavier, which is in reality the canister is very light. But it has become all of a sudden heavier for this boy. And the plastic bag which he used to carry on his shoulder was really heavy, but now it is it is no more heavier. The bag was his, but the canister belongs to his master. See the contradiction? Though the bag was dirty, heavy, but then it was his. He was the master of the bag. But then the canister, which is small in size, clean probably, nice, it's steel canister, it doesn't belong to him. Though the garbage bag was filthy, dirty, big in size, but it was not heavier because he was the master of the bag. But the canister, which is smaller in size, clean, but then it seems heavier because he is not the master of the canister. Now, Sahib is no longer his own master. Sahib, this boy, he is no longer his own master. He has become someone else, let us say slave. Earlier, though he was poor, he did not have enough to eat, but then he was his own master. But now, he earns 18 rupees per month and he gets all the meal, sufficient meal for himself, but then still, now he has lost the carefree look on his face because he is no more his own master. Now, see the irony. Try to understand the irony that the author is trying to discuss in this lesson. These poor people who are struggling hard to earn their livelihood, they have lost their identity when they work under someone. And this is what the author has tried to explain in this poem, the first part of the lesson, that is about this boy called Sahib. Now let us try to understand the second part of the lesson. Part 2, I want to drive a car. The name of the main hero of this lesson is a boy by name Mukesh. In the first part it was Sahib. Now in the second part, Mukesh is the main character, the hero of the lesson, about whom the author has tried to discuss. Now Mukesh, again, a symbolical representation of boys who grow up with the dreams of achieving something in life. But then, because of the destiny, because of the society, hard-heartedness of the people, the callous attitude of the society, this boy is also deprived of education. Now, he insists on being his own master. There is a similarity. The first lesson and second lesson. First lesson, though Sahib was collecting garbages, but then he wanted to be his own master. Second, here also, Mukesh, this boy, he wants to be his own master. He doesn't want to work under anybody else. He wants to be his own master. And he is nurturing a dream of becoming a motor mechanic. This boy by name Mukesh, he has a dream of becoming a motor mechanic. His dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets of Firozabad. Now, he has what is the dream of Mukesh? Mukesh wants to become a motor mechanic. And this dream looms like a mirage. What does it mean, mirage? You must have seen during the summer season, from afar we see the heat waves as if there is a flow of water, and that is called mirage. That is something deceptive. Mirage is something deceptive. It doesn't exist in reality. It looks like as if it's a reality, but it is not a reality. So his dream of becoming a motor mechanic looks like a mirage, which is deceptive, which does not exist. Firozabad is the place, it's famous for glass factories. A city where people have spent generations working around furnaces, making bangles for all the women in the world. So Firozabad is the place where glass factory is there and where people make bangles. And in this place, there are so many people, all their life they have spent generations after generations, people have spent their life in making bangles for all the women in the world. It's a famous place for making bangles. And Mukesh's family is one among them. This boy Mukesh, his family is also one among those families who spend all their life, generations after generations, making bangles. None of them know it is legal for children. None of them know it is illegal for children like Mukesh to work in a dingy cells without air and light. These people do not know it is something illegal to send children for work. Child labor is an illegal activity, and none of these people know it's illegal to work in a dingy cell. What do you mean dingy cell? Very small, dirty, dark cell rooms without sufficient air and light. It's a crime. The condition of the homes. What is the condition of the homes these people live in Firozabad? It's stinky lanes choked with the garbage. Very narrow streets full of garbage with stagnant water. The walls are crumbling, almost falling. Ugly doors. The house has doors which are almost shaking. No windows. Crowded with families of human and animals existing in a primeval state. So, the place where these people live, it's with full of dirty water, very narrow streets with shaking walls, crumbling walls, almost falling walls, shaking doors, no windows, and there people live in crowds. Both humans and animals, they live together for their survival. They are all partners in survival. Again, they are all partners in survival. They just want to live. They just want something above their head for to stay. And Mukesh's family, what is the specialty of Mukesh's family? It is impoverished, thoroughly impoverished family, very, very poor. Failed to get the children educated. Mukesh's father, who has got 2 children, he failed to get both the children educated. Just managed to teach the children the art of making bangles. So all his life, Mukesh's father has managed just to teach these children, both the boys, how to make bangles. They are not thought of anything else except bangle, because bangle making is only the means of survival for them. And the author, when the author discusses with one of the family members of Mukesh's grandma says, life of poverty is their destiny. We are destined to be poor forever. We have no other option. We cannot live rich. We cannot become rich, or we cannot even think of having all the basic. Mukesh's grandmother says, life of poverty is their destiny. We believe in destiny. Sometimes we believe in destiny. We have no other choice but to live what our destiny offers. So she says, we have another option to live. We have no other option except the way we live. Why? Because we have been destined to be poor forever. It is not we who chose, and it is our destiny. Dear children, I would like to tell you, do you believe in destiny? If you believe in destiny, then we become as if a helpless child in the hands of destiny. We can change our destiny, provided you have got the willpower, you have got the determination. And that's what we need to learn from this. This lady, old lady says, we are destined to be poor. We have no other option except to be poor. And can a God-given lineage ever be broken? They say, people believe sometimes it is God has made us this way. We have been destined. Our destiny is written by God. And can anyone break the God-given lineage? It is not our choice. We cannot. It is not in our hands. But it doesn't happen this way. I mean, we can change our destiny, but then if we continue to believe that it's a God-given lineage, then we always live in that perpetual state of poverty. These children's eyes are more adjusted to the dark than the light, and that is why so many children like Mukesh, they lose their eyesight even before they become adults. Bangle, for example, now in our Indian custom, bangle is a symbol of auspiciousness. Before the wedding, the girl is asked to wear bangles on her wrist. So bangle is symbolically a symbol of auspiciousness. It brings good fortunes. But to the contrary, the irony is that these people who make bangles all their life, no good fortune has ever come in their life. They make something which is symbol of good fortune, auspiciousness, but then in their life they have not seen any good fortune, any auspiciousness. Bangles on the wrist, but no light in their eyes. These people who make bangles, they wear bangles, but bangles are on their wrist, but then there is no light in their eyes. Most of them have not eaten one square meal in their entire life. The families like that of Mukesh, these people, they have not even eaten one square meal all throughout their life. What do you mean one square meal? 1 full meal. Never on a day they have eaten all the 3 meals. So much poor they are. And that's the reason they have lived all their life in their perpetual state of poverty. They have just not lived. It will be very unjust to use the word lived. The right to use, they have just remained alive. That's all. The cry of not having enough to eat rings in every home. The condition, it's not only in Mukesh's house, in all the houses, there is so much of plight, cry, pain of not having enough to eat. That is a picture everywhere. The young men echo the lament of their elders. The young people, probably married or unmarried, these young ones, they echo the same lament, meaning the same cry of their elders. Whatever the elders went through, the same thing the youngsters also going through. The life has not changed for them. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative and ability to dream. You see the choice of words the author has used. It is not 1 or 2 years or 1 or 2 weeks or a few months. Years, all their life, mind-numbing toil. Meaning, what do you mean mind-numbing? You become totally, and for example, when something happens, we lose the sensitivity. And such type of toil, hard work, which has made them almost dead. It has even deprived them the initiative and ability to dream. They are not able to even dream big, because the toil is so much, the hardship that they go through is so much that they have lost the interest, the initiative, and even the ability to dream and to become some in life. They cannot organize themselves as cooperatives because they are caught into a vicious circle of middlemen who trapped their fathers and forefathers. Now these bangle makers, as you know, any people who do some business, they can form their own cooperative. Now when you form a cooperative, what will happen? You can decide your own price. You will have better earning. And that's how most of the farmers also do. And that's why the farmers are not able to decide the price for their own produce. The same way, these people who have spent all their life making bangles, they are not able to organize themselves as cooperatives. Why? Because they are fallen into a vicious circle of this middleman. And they have trapped not only these children, their fathers and forefathers. And they have been trapped once and for all. They are not able to come out of the clutches of these middlemen. If at all they ever dare to organize themselves, then what will happen? They can be punished for doing something illegal. Actually, in reality, organizing themselves as cooperative is not something illegal. It is legal. But from the point of these middlemen, organizing oneself as a cooperative is something illegal. And these people, they do not even know it is their right to organize themselves. These men, they talk endlessly in a spiral. Endlessly they keep talking, and their talk moves from poverty to apathy. Poverty, state of being poor. Apathy, totally no feeling. And greed, the greed of the middlemen, and injustice. This is what they discuss, nothing else. There is so much of poverty, so much of insensitivity, so much of greed, and so much of injustice happening in their life. Their world is only two. There is only two distinct realities in their world. One, family caught in a web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste they are born in. So these people, they are already poor. They are poor by financial status. Secondly, there is also stigma. What is stigma? Indelible mark. There is a stigma of being born in a particular caste. So they are poor, probably from a low caste, and with no financial stability. Second, they are caught up in a vicious circle of middlemen, the keepers of the law, bureaucrats, and politicians. So on the one hand, they are caught up in a perpetual state of poverty, as well as they carry the stigma of born in a particular caste. On the other hand, they are caught up in a vicious circle of middlemen, bureaucrats, law keepers, politicians, and all these type of people. And that is why this is their world, nothing more than that. These middlemen, bureaucrats, politicians, and law keepers, they have imposed this bag on the child. No? This big baggage, this big burden has been imposed by these people. Not that the people of the place, like that of Mukesh, have taken the baggage on themselves. No. This burden of making bangle forever and not able to organize themselves and sell on a good price has been decided by these middlemen, and that's why this baggage has been imposed on them. It is not their choice, but rather it has been imposed on them. And Mukesh even doesn't know that he is doing something which his father did. He doesn't even know, he is not even aware that he is doing something in order to earn something extra for his livelihood, which his father did. He has naturally taken from his father, inherited. Now you see these last words of this lesson, what the author has used. To do anything else would mean to dare, and daring is not part of growing up. Now apart from making bangles, if any child of this society that Mukesh lives in, if anyone trying to do something different, meaning taking a big challenge, is daring, showing courage. And showing courage, daring is not part of their culture, because all their life they have been suppressed, depressed, and they have been so much ill-treated. So you will never expect a child from that particular atmosphere, a community, that he would ever dare. So doing something different is daring, and daring is not part of his growing up. He has never grown up with better ambitions. I want to be a motor mechanic, he says. When the author says, what do you want to become? He says, I want to be a motor mechanic, and that is the only dream he has. He has not thought of anything else apart from making bangles. And the author, in reply, she asked him, do you dream of flying a plane? What about, you want to only become a motor mechanic? What about flying a plane? And he says, no. And in his small murmur, there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. So he says, no, I don't want to learn flying, plane. Why? Because he has not thought so high. And he said no with a very feeble voice. That murmur was a kind of sign of embarrassment. He was feeling quite embarrassed, uneasy, and that he has never regretted. Why? Who will regret? A person who has only dreamt high will regret. But the person who has not even thought of anything else except making bangles all his life, he will have no dreams, and the person with no dream will never regret. So students, in this lesson, both the first part and second part, Sahib as well as Mukesh, these are two children who are symbolical representation of so many children in our country who have been deprived of this basic right to learn, to be educated, to grow up in life with equal opportunity, with equal support. So we see so many children of this kind in our country, and we as students, we need to voice our opinion, and we need to join hands to eradicate this child labor and provide everyone with equal opportunity to learn. Thank you.